It is not the offspring of witchcraft or Satan. It was created by man. It will grow to be 15 feet tall. It will have huge eyes, webbed hands, hooked claws. It will walk upright. And it will mindlessly, mercilessly kill every living thing it meets. Prophecy.
Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and welcome to Friday Night Appointment with Fear Live. I've got a comment already. Who's this? It's Wingrace, Lizard People. Yes, it's good. Well, it's not Lizard People. It's a giant mutant bear that we're going to see. What's happened to my hair there? It's got a bit doolally there, hasn't it? But yes, welcome to Friday Night Appointment with Fear, number 51. We're nearly at the year mark. It's been over a year because I think a couple of episodes have skipped a week, haven't I? But never mind. So we're doing Prophecy from 1979, directed by, I forgot his bloody name already, John Frankenheimer, and starring Robert Foxworth and Talia Shire, who gets top billing, Talia Shire does, because I suppose, technically, yes, she's the biggest star in the film, I suppose. Even though I've never really rated Talia Shire, even though she's like an Oscar-nominated actress. I've always thought, she's probably got to where she is because she's a cousin of Francis Ford Coppola. Who else? Armand Desante. By the way, Robert Foxworth, who you may know from Falcon Crest and a million other things. He was in Damien the Omen 2. So he's got a connection to the Omen. And this film, The Prophecy, was written by David Seltzer, who wrote The Omen. So there we go. Talia Shire, we all know from the Rocky films and a few other things. Armand Desante, he's been in loads of stuff, but I remember him as Rico Dredd from Judge Dredd 1995. The image in the trailer looked like a lizard. I think it's supposed to look like all sorts of different things. Because the creature, the mutant bear that we see, is its original design. I'll get to this, I suppose, as we begin the film. Its original design, it was supposed to be a mishmash of all different creatures, but then they changed it and made it just a mutant bear that's all gone all manky. Anyway. So what else? What else was I saying? And Richard Dysart, they're the main stars of the film. Richard Dysart, who's been in loads of stuff, but fans of horror is most famous in John Carpenter's The Thing. Right, so as I said, directed by John Frankenheimer, Manchurian Candidate, Grand Prix, what else? French Connection 2. That's what he's most famous for. It had a budget of 12 million and its box office was 22 million. So, I suppose it did okay. It didn't blow the box office away. I think it was supposed to be a bigger film than it ended up being because it got critically panned. But I love it. I love this film. I think it's great. Right, so as I was saying, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Rumble, yes we are, we're live on Twitch, so you can check them out on all those different platforms if you wish. And don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. Later on, I'll upload it to Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. By the way, that's the film we're doing, Prophecy. There's the Blu-ray, which I've watched earlier on. With the audio commentary, which is very informative, and a couple of interviews on there as well. It's not a bad Blu-ray, actually. It's not a bad Blu-ray. There's a couple of audio commentaries, but I haven't had a chance to listen to them all yet. Just one of them. What else? And that's about it, in it. Right, so we'll get on with the film then. Right, so let me full screen the bugger. As usual, I'm not just going to play the film because I'd get into trouble with YouTube and they'd tell me off, give me a slap on the wrist. And so we're going to watch a series of stills and I will talk about it as we go and tell you the plot and other things, facts, and all that stuff. I might play the odd snippet. Right, so I make myself titch tiny. There I go. Down there. into the corner. Oh, Archmage Phrase, that man on Twitch. Yes, he is. It's fun getting into trouble. Mwahaha. Is it? What are you getting into trouble for? I don't know. He's up to something, is Archmage Frey, that mysterious man on Twitch. Right, so let's get on with the film. Right, you're going to start playing. Yes, we're off. Right, we go Paramount. By the way, my Blu-ray, because obviously I'm watching a file on my computer. Doesn't have that. But never mind. Paramount Pictures presents John Frankenheimer film, Robert L. Rose, and whoever he is. Prophecy. Right, so we start off. There you go. Talia Shire, top billing. People are running through the woods with hounds. Oh, yes, sorry, yes. I'm dead dense, aren't I? He said, if you play the video, you'll get into trouble. Not that I can read his mind. No, well, no. Because you are two separate entities. Oh, dear. I tell you, I'm thick. I tell you, connections just go past me. I'm an idiot. Right, so people are going through the woods with hounds. It's supposed to be a search and rescue team. Sorry, apologies, by the way. If I'm still snuffling. It's blooming. I've got rid of the cold. I feel fine, but just this probably long COVID or something I've got. I don't know, but it's hanging in. Is this snuffly nose? I've blown it and everything, but it just keeps coming back. Anyway, right. So people are going through the woods. There's a search and rescue team. They're looking for somebody that's gone missing, some climbers or something. So it's in the middle of the night and it's all raining and windy and all that. The hounds pick up some scent. Not that we can see anything. And they go charging towards the edge of this ravine. And here we go, they're charging through the brush. And one of the dogs just goes leaping over the edge. Here it goes. I'm going to see it. No, it's in a minute. Go leap. There it goes. Just leaping over the edge. And obviously, it's okay. They drag it back up. Oh, stop playing. And so they drag it back up. But one of them climbs down, then we hear a scream, and then they says, he's gone. So they all the others start climbing down as well. And one of them falls and somehow doesn't die. We'll see in a minute. There he goes. And that's not him. When he looks over, he lands on this rock and he's okay. And he looks over, sees one of his friends looking not well. Hang on. There we go. And then he looks, and then we hear a roar. There you go. He sees something that we don't see. So then we cut to daytime. Lovely music playing. And there's the one of the helmets floating down the river. And there's one of the team dangling. And the rest of them there, all dead. So there we go. And then we hear rustling and noises and stuff in the forest. There's some creature in the forest. And we go to, by the way, that's supposed to be Maine. The main part of the film. Supposed to be set in Maine on the east side of America. But it was actually filmed mostly in Vancouver, in what would become known as Hollywood North. I think this was the first big film that were filmed at the newly set up studios and stuff like that up in Hollywood North, up in Vancouver. No, it's not a Stephen King story, but it could be, couldn't it? It's a David Seltzer story. But yes, it could be. The town called Derry in it or something like that. Or Bangor. But no. But as I said, it was filmed in Vancouver. But a couple of bits were filmed in Washington, D.C., and another bit in California, in Hollywood, and some other bits filmed on sound stages at Paramount Studios. But most of the outdoor stuff were filmed up in Vancouver. In Canada, over on the West Coast, on the Pacific Coast. So they're a continent away from where the film says they are. Anyway, so we're in Washington, D.C., and Talia Shire. Don't ask me the names of the characters, by the way. I can't remember. All I remember is Robert Foxworth's character is actually called Rob. He's got the same name as his character. She's called Maggie. Right, okay, right, fair enough. So she's Maggie. And as you can see, she's a cellist. Is that a cello? I don't know. Looks like a cello to me. But you can see that she's not really playing it because there's this lady here next to her, and the fingers are completely different. They're supposed to be playing the same thing. If you watch it as it carries on, she's obviously distracted, as you can see there. And then she looks over at her, and then she goes, "Oh," and then carries on. And you can see they're playing totally different things. But these fellas behind, you can see they're playing off the same music sheet. These are probably actual cellists. Anyway, Win Grace is giving us information. For your information, for US viewers, this movie, as well as 5 of the Walken-based The Prophecy movies, are on Paramount Plus. Are they? Oh, right. I don't know. I haven't looked on ours. I'll have to have a look on ours and see if the Christopher Walken ones are, because I've not seen those and I've heard they're good. Right. Anyway, where were we? So obviously these two are playing their cellos, but these people behind, maybe they are, because you can see their fingers move in unison, so they are actually playing. So it seems they're probably actual cellists, but these aren't. This is actually the wife of the director. So there you go. Don't ask me a real name. But anyway, after the concert, there they finish. They get a round of applause. Oh, we do some moody fadings and stuff, showing her playing. I don't know why she's got so popular and famous, because I've never liked Talia Shire. I didn't even like her as Adrian in Rocky. I thought she's rubbish. She's a rubbish actress. Not that I'm any good. I've no room to talk, but I don't get paid the big bucks. Right, so afterwards they've all sodded off, and it shows the other actual cellists packing up their equipment, and we learn that she's pregnant. She's the I don't know if she's the wife or just the partner of Robert Foxworth's character, but we learn that she's pregnant, and obviously he doesn't want to have a baby because he thinks, it's a rubbish world to bring a child into. So she daren't tell him that she's pregnant. So there we go. So that is a plot point that we get to later, but they kind of ignore at the end of the film. Anyway, right. So next up, we are actually in Washington DC, an establishing shot of an amblemonge going there. You go past the there we go past the White House, and there's a demonstration going on, and it's an actual demonstration that were going on at the time. I can't remember what it was about. But it's Native Americans, First People, Original People, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. They call them Original Peoples in this film, or Opis for short. That's probably really insulting, but I don't know. But it's an actual demonstration that took place during filming. So they went out and filmed them. So there we go. And this next scene. This is actually on I think the Warner Brothers back lot, but it's supposed to be somewhere in Washington DC. It's actually in California, and we see Robert Foxworth. He's a doctor, and he goes into this dwelling, and it's taken upstairs. And what's happened? This baby, if we're going to see it, there we go. This baby's been bitten by rats. It's a rat-infested, place, and the landlord doesn't care, he doesn't care about it. So Robert Foxworth's angry about it, and he's got to take the baby into hospital. So and he's going to have words with the landlord, but we never find out if he does anything. He says, "I'll have to write a report." So I think that's all he does. He writes reports, and he even says in it, "Nothing will get done about it." But he does what he can. I'm going to be in touch with your landlord. So takes the baby into hospital. The mother goes with, obviously. I'm presuming it'll be, because it's America, isn't it? You don't have an NHS, so I presume it'll be some sort of charity thing, because she won't have money. She won't have health insurance, will she? So, as I said, it's America. I don't know how you've put up with it for so long. Just pay a few pounds a week in your taxes, not pounds, dollars, in your taxes, and just have an health service that's free at the point of service. But never mind. Anyway, whatever. Less politics. Right. So this fella appears. This chap is called Vic, apparently, and he works with Rob. Robert Gaines, I think his name is. Let me just double check. No, I'm wrong. Robert Verne. Where did he get Gaines from? I have no idea. Robert Verne. That's his name. Yes, we'd rather die. He'd rather die than pay, a little bit of tax. A bit of, because it's pinko commie talk, isn't it? Paying taxes in America. Love you. Anyway, so he's I think he might be his boss. He might be Robert's boss. So he's come to talk to him. There he's making his notes about the area. So obviously, rat infested. What's the word? Like a ghetto, isn't it? Is that a dead dog there? looks like, isn't it? I don't know, but anyway, dead something on the steps there. So he's sending him over to Maine to do a report on. There's some sort of commotion. A paper mill has bought up lots of forest land, and the local Native Americans, whatever, are not happy about it. So he's got to go over there and do a report. I don't know why. He's a doctor, isn't he? So, but anyway, so they're sending him. Why? Because he's part of the EPA, so that's why they're sending him. So off he's gonna go in a minute. There we go. I'm a doctor. I think they just want to get him. I think he's overworked. I think that's the what they're trying to say is he's overworked at the minute. So they're sending him on this what they think is going to be like an easy thing. Let him get away to the countryside for a few weeks. Give him a break. So I think that's what they're doing. So off he goes. This is Maine. I don't know what Maine actually looks like. Maybe it looks a lot like, British Columbia. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But so here he is with his missus. Apparently that's a famous lighthouse, but I wouldn't know. I only know because he said in the commentary. He said, "Oh, that's the famous lighthouse which is on a rock," but I've never heard of it. Now then, so they're gonna land in a minute. Oh, there we have a flyover of all the logs near the paper mill. And they're gonna land at this airport, and they're met by by the way, this is another family that's just arrived. We meet them again later on in what's probably the most famous scene in the film. Maybe if you've not even seen the film, you might be familiar with the scene in this film where we see them later. They're out camping. Anyway, they're met by Richard Dysart. There he is. Who's the company man for the paper mill? I can't remember his character's name. Isley. His name's Isley. But he's got a shirt and a tie on to show that he's a company man. But yeah, he's also got a flannel jacket on because he's trying to be one of the lads. But it turns out, spoilers, he's not really a bad person. He kind of is, but he knows what's going on. But he turned a blind eye, and when he finds out, because he didn't think they were doing any harm really, but when he finds out, pardon me, the true story, he's like filled with remorse and all that. So anyway, right, so he's there to greet them, and he's going to take them to the cabin that they've got ready for him. Oh, and we see this dog being airlifted. This is one of the dogs from the search team that we saw at the beginning. This was being airlifted out. Don't know why. Why would you airlift a dog out like that? Why don't you just put it in the helicopter? But no, they're airlifting it out. So that's where he learns that that rescue team's disappeared. And they talk about does it say it somewhere? But the Native Americans, they've got a name for this creature that they says running about, and they're going to say it here. I can't remember what it is. I forgot what they call it. It begins with a K. There we go, Catardin. There we go. They call it Catardin. But the actual there is a creature called Catardin, not mythical creature called Catardin. from the main Native Americans. But the one that's actually in this film is more like another creature. Katardin's like an overall like world beast sort of thing, and the creature, the monster that's in this is like another that's supposed to reside on the back of this world beast, and that is supposed to be like a mishmash of all God's creations, so like part bird and part fish and part bear and all that stuff. And actually did design it to be like that. But when the main fella, it's a fella in a suit, obviously, Tommy McLaughlin, he plays the main creature in the suit. But they've also got Kevin Peter Hall, who plays the tall version of the creature, who you may know from Predator, and Harry and the Hendersons. But the main one is Tommy McLaughlin, who you may know. He played Star, the robot in the black hole. What else? And he's been in. I think he wrote and directed Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason Lives. So there we go. But he plays the creature in this, and I forgot what I was talking about now. I forgot. I've lost my train of thought. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was it. Yes. They designed the monster to look like it were made of all different creatures. So it'd have a wing, and then an arm, and then, I don't know, scales, and, one leg and a flip or something. I don't know. And that's how they designed it. And when Tommy McLaughlin came in, they showed him the designs. He says, I don't know how it'd move. How would it move looking like that? So they basically just changed it. If Tommy McLaughlin, when he said that, he thought, I'm going to get sacked now. I've lost the job. I'll not get the gig. But they did want him because apparently he was trained by Marcel Marceau. So he was really good at movement and stuff. So they wanted him. And so they changed because of that, because of what he'd said. And I think other people had said the design's not very good anyway. They changed it up and just made it like a mutant bear that just looked all deformed. Right, where were we? Right, so they're going to take him out to this cabin that they've got, which is like 1,000,000 miles from anywhere. Oh, that's what he's talking about. The Opis, original people. So they're going to set off out. So we see him drive through. I can't remember the name of it. That's actually the town hall sort of thing. I have to check. I can't remember the name of the town. We've seen it in the X-Files. Fort Langley. That's it. This is Fort Langley in British Columbia, and driving through there. There they are. So they're going out into the wilderness. There we go. Miles from nowhere, driving through thick forests. Then they come across Armand de Sante and his sister, and some others, and they're blocking the road. And they say no cars from the paper mill can pass here, and they've put a chain across the road. So there's a confrontation. There's Armand de Sante, Rico Dredd from the 1995 Judge Dredd, which I really like. I really like that film. Apart from he takes his helmet off, there's Judge Dredd, but apart from that, it's fun. And he hams it up brilliantly in the film. Anyway, and apparently there was some concerns about casting him as a Native American because he's not Native American. I think he's part Irish and part Italian and part other things. There's no Native American blood. And people were saying he's got 5 o'clock shadow, which Native Americans or like indigenous peoples in the Americas generally don't have. Sometimes they have like bits of wispy, facial hair, but they generally don't get like full beards, do they? And they have to shave every day and stuff. It's just one of those genetic things, but he's got like full 5 o'clock shadow. But there's actually supposed to be a backstory that is half white, and he was kind of shunned by his tribe, and he went because he was sent out and educated at the best universities and stuff, and they thought he was just a white man's puppet, and then he came back and he felt he had to fight harder for his people than anybody else. So that's what he's doing. Right, so there's an altercation. He won't let them pass. We see back again. We see the fellas in the truck behind. They get out. There we go. There they are. That's that fella there. Can you see my mouse pointer? Yes. He's the stunt coordinator for the film. Don't ask me his name. God knows who the rest of the fellas are. Like village people, don't they? Anyway, they get out. So we know there's going to be a rumble. So Isley tells him to chop we see that they've got a chain between two trees at the side of the road, and it just says chop the trees down. There's Isley, and I thought, well, that's not a very nice thing, but they're just trees, aren't they? So he's going to go chop down the trees, but Armand Asante, John Hawke is his name. Or is it Hawks? It's either Hawk or Hawks. Hawks, John Hawks. And his sister is Ramona, played by Victoria Racimo. He stands in the way. Won't let him. You have to chop my head off first. So they have a bit of a fight with his axe. His axe versus chainsaw. There we go. Have a bit of a fight. Bit of that. And it's actually a little bit scary, is this? I don't know if it can't be a real chainsaw, but Ahmed Asante, sorry, John Hawkes, loses the fight. He ends up on his back on the floor. Here we go. With the chainsaw really close to him. When is it going to show us? There we go. And you can see it's going round. I don't know. It can't be a real chainsaw. It's probably got a rubber ring round, hasn't it? That can't be a real chain, can it? It's probably totally safe. It's there going on near his neck, and but he won't back down. He says, open, undo the padlock, and he says, no, I'm not doing it. He stands by his convictions. But his sister undoes the padlock, and so they get through anyway. And all this while, Robert Foxworth was saying, come on, there's no need for violence and all that. And this Isley's telling them all about the Native Americans saying they just get drunk and they get violent and the murderers and thieves and all that, all the usual stuff. But obviously they're not really like that. He's prejudiced, isn't he? He's a bit of a bigot, but we learn later on he's not really a bad man. So they get through. So they carry on driving, and then they've got to go on a boat as well. Couldn't they find him a cabin a bit closer? Obviously not. So they're going over this lake, which is called Daisy Lake, and you can't see it there. Never mind. There's like something over on the hills over here. You can't really see it. I don't know if it'll show it. No, I keep showing it again. Never mind. Yes, that's a racism. It is. Yes, it is. It's a racism. Anyway, they get to the cabin that they've got for him. It looks like some bloody Evil Dead, doesn't it? But they get there. Very nice scenery in Maine. Are the mountains like this in Maine? I don't know. I've never been. I'll have to look it up on Google Earth and see if there's mountains like that in Maine. I always imagine Maine being like just rolling hills and lovely forests and small towns, dotted about, like Sleepy Hollow and stuff like that. That's what I imagine. These covered bridges and stuff, and it's autumn all year round. That's how I imagine Maine. Anyway, so they get settled down. They get settled into this cabin, which in the interior also looks like the Evil Dead because there's like stags' heads on the wall and creepy chairs. She's practicing her cello because she thinks she's Dana from Ghostbusters. Oh, hang on. Maine has mountains. In fact, Mount Katahdin is the tallest mountain in the state. See, even a mountain named after the beast in this film. I think the mountain came first, though. But it's like autumn all year round with covered bridges and stuff like that. Anyway, she's practicing away. He's out fishing, is Robert. There we are. We see him and he gets a nice fish. There we go. And then we see, oh, hello, Josh Temple's arrived. Hey up, mate. How you doing? We just started Prophecy, not the Christopher Walken film, the other one, the mutant bear one. So he's caught his fish, and then we see a duck on the surface of the water. We're going to see it. I've gone too far. See if I can. While he's catching his trout or whatever it is, or salmon or bass, I don't know, fish. I used to go fishing as well, but never mind. Oh, there we go. We see the duck there, and something grabs it and pulls it under in a minute. When it's bleeding ready. Oh, that's still too far. Come on, let's see what happens to this duck. We all know what's going to happen to the duck, don't we? Yeah, he's got his catch. There we go. And we see something's coming up behind the duck, and boop, under it goes. Something's got the duck, and then we find out what it is. They're going to show us now. See, too far. Oh, there we go. A big, giant, rubbish-looking, it's supposed to be a salmon, comes out of the water. It's supposed to be massive. But it doesn't look very big, does it? But it's supposed to be huge. So he's surprised at that. But anyway, so they're cooking the whatever he caught, salmon. Looks like salmon, doesn't it? Look, she's cooking that for him, and he's telling her all about what he saw. And so they're enjoying their fresh salmon, and then we see a bit of looks a bit day for night, this, doesn't it? But we see because it's all lovely in the countryside. We see a deer there walking past, but Armand the Sante is there as well, watching them for no reason. He doesn't do anything, not that I notice. And there's a squirrel, and there's Maudie. I think they run off now. I think yes, they run off because some things are coming, and we hear something rustling about and growling in the bushes, but we don't see anything yet. They're having a nice time by the fire, and they're all saying how they love each other and all that. But she hasn't told him. She doesn't tell him till much later in the film that she's pregnant. But she's kind of hinting that that she loves him and and all that. She says, "I wish there was more of you," hinting that she wants a family and all that. But he's not. He's like me. He doesn't. He's not quick on the uptake. So he's too. He's more worried about everybody else than his own emotions and stuff. So that's it. They're all having a lovely time, and then oh, hang on, see, this wasn't in my version either. As I said, I've got this version. I've got I do have an original copy, but obviously I found this somewhere else. But this next bit isn't on my version because obviously I've got the British version. The British version has had I think just this bit cut out. We hear a noise outside, and he goes to the door. He opens it. There we go. And we don't see that bit. He opens it, and then he just gets attacked by a raccoon. But in this, we see a raccoon convulsing. But actually, that would have cut out of the British version because apparently they did actually poison a raccoon. So it's either convulsing in its death throes, or maybe they just poisoned it enough for it to be in pain. I don't know. But yeah, we don't see that in the British version. He just gets attacked by it. You don't see that either. Poor thing. And then it gets him. Yeah, and up his leg, and it's attacking him. And it attacks her. So he attacks it with gets it with a paddle or something, and there's a fight, and he kills it and throws it in. Oh, too far. Kills it. Oh, kills it and throws it in the fire. Too far. There you go. But I think he's killed it there, hasn't he? And then just throws it in the fire. So it's a pretty cruel film, isn't it, really? Hashtag justice for the raccoons. So there we go. Then we cut to the next day. This family that we saw earlier on. I think it's the dad and the daughter and the son. I don't know where the mother is. Probably insensible staying at home. So I'm not bloody going camping. And they don't look to be having a very good time. So, and I think they hear a noise off in the woods. And they look very dirty, don't they? Where they be? Anyway, so they're going to find somewhere to camp for the night. What was that? Nothing, that sort of thing. And we hear them. There's some kayakers. He's phoning Vic, telling him all about it, what's happened. Oh, yes, nothing like sleeping in the house that's burning a raccoon all night. Yep, exactly. It probably already smells of fish, though, because they're just eating all that salmon, aren't they? So it probably stinks anyway in the... Anyway, so he's on the phone to Vic in this lovely rustic phone booth, telling him all about it and saying, yes, she's fine and all that, but, etc. There you go. He sent off a couple of tissue samples for the raccoon. But I think he tells him about the giant fish he saw as well. Right, so he's going to have a chat now with John Hawkes and his sister, and they're going to take them off to see the old man. So that's what they're going to do. Tell him some of the stories. From that they're not, they're not the thieves and murderers and all that the paper mill people tells them that they are. I guess the aliens from the new Very Short Trek would like it then. Yes, they would, yes. When they did that in that thing, they opened up the thing with the fishing. I just thought, some Scandinavian thing. They like the rotting fish, don't they, in tins? Anyway. Right, so they're going to go off to see, the elder of their tribe in a minute. When they've done talking, there's a lot of talking in this film, by the way. Early on, once the action starts, it's pretty much relentless, but it does take a while to get there. Oh, this is what they're learning about people becoming sick, and he tells them that they've got the reputation of being drunk all the time, but they're not drunk. It's their illnesses that they've got because of whatever's happening to the water or the food or whatever. And children are being born dead and deformed and stuff like that. So he wants them to investigate that. So they're going to go and check it out. So they arrive at this, Native American camp with some teepees. Are the teepees are wigwams? It's teepees, isn't it? Wigwams are more permanent structures, aren't they? These are teepees. This is the home of Hector Murray. So there we go. That's her grandfather. He built these apparently when he were younger, and he's teaching the young people how to do all this stuff. So that it's not forgotten. There he is. Not the best actor, but he's fair enough. But for it's supposed to be remembering all their traditions, but he keeps talking about God and the Garden of Eden and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, doesn't he have his own beliefs? Never mind. So they're going to go and he's going to go and show them. It talks about the Garden of Eden. He's going to go and show them what he means. He says everything grows big there, really big. So we know that already. We want a giant raccoon, though, was it? Pity. But, and then he's talking about saw a salmon that took his breath away. So they're going to go to this pond, and we see there's some logs there from the paper mill. Oh, there you go. It is the Garden of Eden. Anyway, so they see something in the pond, something under the water, and John Hawkes goes and fishes it out. There we go. It could just be swamp gas for all I know, bit of methane, but it turns out it's not. While he's in the water looking for that, because he just happens to have a net there, just ready, because there must be a net fastened to every tree. So he goes in. Meanwhile, Robert Foxworth has a look round. Sorry, John. I forgot his name already. Where did he get John from? He's not John, he's Robert, isn't he? Robert Verne. Yes, swamp gas. You mean aliens? Yes, I do. Yes, it is. It's aliens that did this. It's not the paper mill's not to fault. You get Mulder and Scully in, shouldn't they, to sort this out? By the way, I did rewatch. I said I was going to rewatch the last 2 seasons, the newest 2 seasons of X-Files, and I did watch them. Watched them all, and I had watched them before. I thought I hadn't seen them, but I had. Anyway, so he's checking out these trees, and he notices. I don't know if you can see it. Is it going to show us? You can't really make it out. There's a close up. He sees like this silvery residue on the roots of this tree. So he finds that interesting. But then what he's fished out of the lake, the pond, it's a tadpole. It's going to show us. On, show us again. Let's see. Yeah, I know it's a bloody tadpole. Never mind telling us. Show us the bugger. There we go. There we go. A tadpole, a really realistic looking tadpole. A big one. There we go. So I told you things grew big here. But then it says, where does this pond empty out? It says the Espay River, which is where the paper mill is. And there's the paper mill, which is an actual paper mill, obviously. But in British Columbia, not in Maine. And apparently they were given full access to film there. The owners of the paper mill said, yeah, come and film here. It's cool. Even though they're technically the baddies in the film. That's what they're doing is the root of all the problems in the film. But maybe they didn't ask to read the script. Oh, here we go. So here's Robert. Yeah, he's called Rob. I keep calling him John. John's Armand Asante, isn't it? Here's Robert and whatever her name is. Bloody me and my memory. Maggie. Robert and Maggie in their little boat heading for the. Don't they have a road? Isn't there a road to the bloody paper mill? Crying out loud. Obviously not. So there you go. So we're seeing the all the paper mill stuff going on, and they're giving a tour by Isley, showing how it all works. So we get like a public information film about how a paper mill makes paper from trees. And we learned that they use chlorine to bleach the paper, but all that stays within the factory. None of it goes out. And the only other chemical they use is something that they use in the pulping process, but it's been approved by the EPA and it's biodegradable. That's all they use. So that's what we learn about that. Oh, she gets a bit dizzy. There's Maggie. So another pregnancy clue, but he's obviously not paying the slightest bit of attention. Isley takes care of her. But he don't care, even though they love each other, he couldn't give a monkeys. He's obsessed with his work, you see. So there we go. So we see the big rolls of paper. Looks all cool and interesting. And so he has a big argument now. Oh, by the way, there he is. He's drinking from a styrofoam cup. So probably the factory that makes those styrofoam cups probably does more harm to the environment than this paper mill. But that's by the by. So he has a bit of an argument here with Isley. He asks him about the logs in the pond that we saw earlier on, and he asks, "Are they treated with anything? Those logs?" And he says, "No, not as far as I know." And they have a bit of an argument, and he says, "You can go and test the water if you want. There's no chemicals in the water. We test it every 10 days, and it's clean as a whistle." But obviously, Robert doesn't believe him, and he has a big spiel about how he'll write his report, and there'll be copies of his report, and there'll be thousands of pieces of paper, and he says, "You're responsible as well," because he tries to blame the paper mill, but he says, your demand is makes you responsible as well, so, which is kind of true. But anyway, so they go away now. So they get back in their boat. Don't know why they're into road. I mean, anyway. So off they go in their boat. Oh, by the way, she puts her foot. There you go. We see her put her foot in this mud here, and we see something as they're coming out. She believes him. She's saying, "I believe him." Why would he offer for us to test the water? And then Robert says, "Oh, maybe it's not in the water. Maybe it's heavier." And then he says, "There's stuff on your boot there." Have a look at her shoe. There we go. And there's like a silvery residue. And she gets it off on the finger. And he says, "Is it wet?" And she says, "No." And he says, "I was taught at they did the trick question at med school. What's the only liquid on Earth that isn't wet? And it's mercury. I don't know if methyl mercury is actually mercury. I don't know, but anyway." But that's what they're getting to. That it's methyl mercury that's being released into the water supply, which is actually a real thing. The film is based on real, not in Maine, but on real events that happened in Japan, and it actually mentions it in this film, where like thousands of people died over a lot of years because of the methyl mercury that came from a paper mill in Japan, and it caused deformities and illnesses and all this stuff. And this is where he's talking about it. There we go. It's used, methyl mercury used as a de-sliming agent to, get off logs. And it gets into the fetus, pregnant women and all that. Remember, she's pregnant. Pardon me. So he's upset about that now, is Robert. And I was talking about the old man that they saw earlier on. He were holding a cigarette, and it were all burnt down to nearly his fingers, and his fingers were all burnt. But he couldn't feel it, and that's because of the methyl mercury or something affecting his senses or whatever. There you go. It destroys the brain. So no zombies in this film, then. Thank goodness. Anyway, so it starts talking about, we have a lesson about the dangers of methyl mercury. Yeah, mercury's so cool. Why does it have to be so evil? Yes, I know. It is cool. Where would we be without? We'd have no thermometers, would we, without mercury? I wouldn't have a Mercury Rapids without mercury. Anyway, so she's asking, it's in the fish, is that it? And so she's still not telling him she's pregnant, but she's obviously getting more upset. And she asks him, how much would it take, to affect the fetus? Because he says something like the amount of methyl mercury it passes through the I can't remember what the bloody call it now. Placenta. That's it. It passes through the placenta, and the amount in the fetus can be 30% higher than in the parent or whatever, the mother. And she asks, well, how much would you have to eat or whatever? How much of the fish would you have to eat? And he says, very little. So she's like, oh God. So she's, but she's not panicking. She's staying calm, but she's still not telling him. Oh, there we go. Jumps the placental barrier. There we go. Freakism, just to scare her even more. Freakism. He don't mince his words, does he? I bet he still calls them Siamese twins as well. I bet he does. Yeah, dear. So she's asking then, look, if a pregnant animal ate some fish, it could, harm the fetus. He's like, yeah, freakism, blah, blah, blah. So he's doing some more recording. She's obviously, distraught, but he's not paying any attention. There you go. Well, it gives birth to a monster. He's trying to scare her to death. So anyway, right, we cut to the family, the camping family, remember. They're all asleep in their sleeping bags. This little fella zips himself up completely. And then the monster arrives in a minute. There we go. There we go. Get his first look at the mutant bear. Here it is. And it hang on. See it there. So it gets we don't see it get the others, we just see him scream, the father and the daughter. But little fella in his yellow sleeping bag, he goes going after her. He tries hopping away, so it's hilarious. Hilarious scene. This is the scene that I'm talking about. You've probably heard of. And he goes hopping away, and the bear just gives him a whack. And it's more funny than scary, isn't it? It's more funny than scary. Reminds me of when Jason was it in Jason X or one of the others? There were a couple of Jason Friday the 13th films where he picks somebody up in a sleeping bag and whacks them against a tree or whatever, doesn't it? That just reminded me of that. Yeah, so they're done for. They've been got by the bear. Right, so Robert and Maggie have gone to the local village, and they're taking blood samples from the Opis. There he is. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, yeah. Taking blood from the local people to send away to be tested. By the way, she'd asked him the night before, how long will it take, for these tests to come back? And he said a week to 10 days. So that's useless, isn't it? Yes, that's a fast food order for that mutant bear. It's like a big tell you me and bloody names. Burrito. That's a big kid burrito, isn't it? Anyway, so they're taking the blood to be sent off, and we see that the pregnant lady there, so obviously Talia Shire were looking at that. Maggie looking, thinking, "Oh God, I'm pregnant as well." Oh. Anyway, so the police arrive along with Isley, and they've found the family that's been slaughtered, and they think the Indians have done it. There you go. They're guilty as hell. Talking through a thing because he obviously doesn't want to get close to them. So Isley, he wants the sheriff or whoever it is says, the following people step forward and we take him for question or whatever. He says John Hawkes. There you go. You're going to step forward, but he doesn't. He makes a run for it. He punches Isley's fella in the face. Here we go. Bang. There we go. And runs for it, and he gets away. Excuse me. All right, so cut to another scene, and we're in a helicopter. It's actually a pretty good shot. Is this? Picture of a helicopter, and we're obviously from another helicopter, but we zoom in because there's actually some speaking lines, and then we go as we zoom in, we see it is actually Talia Shire and John Hawke's sister in there, and apparently Talia Shire really suffers from she's a fear of heights, vertigo or whatever, no, acrophobia, isn't it? Fear of heights. She really suffers from that, so she to really bite the bullet and get through this scene apparently because it is her in there, and they are actually there's some lines that they speak, but we see it is actually them there. Dear. That's why I sleep in the back of my Suburban when I'm out hunting or camping. No Josh burrito for anyone. If a monster wants to get you, it'll get you, Josh. It will, out there in the middle of nowhere where nobody will find you. They'll just peel open. It'll get your Suburban. It'll just peel the top off like a sardine tin and scoop you out. That's what it'll do. I forgot what I was saying now. Right, so yes, so they're in that helicopter, and just to make her even more afraid of heights and flying, watch what this helicopter does now. You ready? Hang on. So we just get as close up first, and go, "Ah, you ready? Hang on." That's what I'd be doing. I bet she's never flown again. Anyway, let me check and make sure we're still going. Make sure we're still going. Yes, we are. We're still going on YouTube, and we're still going, I hope, on Rumble. Yeah. Is that playing? Yes, it is. And we're still going on Twitch. Yes, I just thought I'd check and make sure. I am the monster in the middle of nowhere. All right, okay then. Remind me never to go hunting with you then. I've never been hunting. It's the closest I've been to this local fishing place near us where I've caught carp and stuff like that. But not for a while. Anyway, right, so where were we? Oh, a bit of a deep cut there from Wingrace. Oh, Josh Temple. You're the one terrorising Courage the Cowardly Dog. Yes, because that's where he's from, isn't he? He's from nowhere, isn't he? That used to genuinely frighten me, the Courage the Cowardly Dog. It really creepy stuff. But anyway, return the slab. Really good stories. Right. So anyway, Robert and there we go. Oh, it's just showing it. I think we hear some noises. Anyway, they've landed now. And it's all raining and windy. And Robert and I forgot her name already. Is it Ramona or something? I can't bloody remember. Victoria, no. Yeah, Ramona. It is Ramona, yes. Robert and Ramona are going to check out the where the family were killed. But she's staying in the helicopter because she's not feeling well because of air sickness, but it's probably morning sickness. Anyway, Winky says, recently found out that Todd Stashwick was a voice in that show. Was he? Oh, right, very good. Very good. I wonder who we did. So she's staying there. There you go. And he gives her some ammonia to bring her round. I don't know why that'd help. If you're feeling airsick, why would whiffing some ammonia help? You think that'd make you feel worse, wouldn't you? But never mind. So they're going to checking out this campsite where the people were killed. Obviously, they're not there now. The police have taken them away. And there we see big scratches on these trees. And then there's another one even higher up. We see, there we go. And he scoops out, there we go, a bit of fur from the tree. And we see it's not just fur, there's actually some skin on it as well. He says, is this from a bear? But then we never see that again. We never see if he should put it in a little plastic bag, shouldn't he? And put it away. If he's a scientist, but he don't. We never see what happens to it. Never mind. Then John Hawkes arrives on the scene, obviously worrying about what's going on. He shows him the fur. So there's some big creature, I think there's a giant bear now, obviously. So they return to the helicopter in a minute, but she's going to get out first to get a bit of fresh air. He tries to put a thing on her head, what they call it, a scarf on her head, but the wind blows it away, so she goes after it. Hang on, Windgrace is talking again. He should also maybe not fondle it with bare hands. Well, this is not being very forensic, is it? Not being very forensic at all. It'd be no good in the FBI. So she goes after the scarf. There it is, landed on the branch. But then she sees there's like a net there. I don't know what it's there for. Maybe it's for fishing. I don't know. But there's something in the net. There we go. It's a baby mutant bear. There's actually two of them. There's one that's alive. Look, and there's a dead one. So they fish those out. And there we go. It's evidence. So they'll get the dead bear and the live one. But the pilot's saying they're not going anywhere in this weather. So they've got to find somewhere to shelter for a couple of hours. They must be government-funded scientists, not the brightest group of people. Well, it's EPA, isn't it? EPA, same people that tried to do the Ghostbusters, didn't they? Walter Peck, he wasn't the brightest, sharpest tool in the drawer, was he? Right, so they've got to find somewhere, to shelter for a bit. So they head back to the, remember the TP camp. There it is. They head back there. By the way, we'd learned earlier on, forgot to mention this, about the TP camp. There's actually tunnels underneath where they can store foods. Under the frost line, he said, where they can store perishable food. Forgot to mention that earlier. So he's gonna check out these mutant baby bears. Remember, one of them's going calling to its mother. It's like is it Lost World, Jurassic Park 2, where they've got the baby T-Rex. The mother's gonna come, don't you? Anyway, so there it is. Look, bless it. It looks like thing off The Cage, doesn't it? Pardon me, or Menagerie, Star Trek original series. What the Telosian turns into when Pike's trying to throttle it. Looks like one of those. Anyway, or is it a Chalnock? Windgrace could be. Right, so they're seeing to these, and he's, they're checking it for stuff and all that as best as they can in a TP. He's going to get his bow and arrow and stuff and go full engine. There he goes, giving it some fluids or whatever, trying to keep it alive. But this is where she tells him now. She tells him now she's pregnant. And there you go. I'm pregnant. So now she's frightened that her baby is going to, be a freak or suffer from freakism or be a monster, like he said earlier when he was scaring her to death. But anyway, they're going to have bigger fish to fry, so to speak. But that's it. Oh, it's a chalnock. Then just feed it a tree. Yes, a bonsai tree. So there we go. She's worried it's not a baby anymore. Oh, I'm scared. Then that's the pilot, by the way, in case you didn't know. Isley and his crew are going to arrive in a minute. There they are. There they are. They've arrived now. I think with the sheriff. I think they're there looking for John Hawkes. By the way, he's ducked down into the tunnels underneath. There's like a little flap, and he's in the tunnel underneath the TP. So this is where he tells him now. He shows him his evidence now. This baby mutant bear shows him the result of methyl mercury coming from the paper mill, and he basically he asks him, "Did you know about this?" And he says, "I didn't want to know." So he obviously knew, but he pretended it pushed it to one side in his mind, I suppose. Now because he thought they were doing no harm, but now he's distraught now, and he wants to make amends. But then the big bear comes. Mother's arrived. Here she is. Look, I'm saying she. Don't know. Could be father, for all I know. Could be father. Right, so they go and get in the. Here it comes. Look. It moves. Sometimes it moves really goofily. I say sometimes I think this is probably Tommy McLaughlin in this one, but when they've got it up close to people and or like next to a car or whatever, that's usually Kevin Peter Hall because he's taller, obviously. Never mind. It kind of moves a bit goofily, especially when it seems to be running. We see it running, and it's like those like inflatable T-Rexes that people run about in. It looks like one of them. She's screaming. Oh, look, people are on fire. For get in these tunnels, he says, while he's doing that. Look, get in these tunnels because he's, the number of the beast. Why is he doing it like that? Don't know. So they all got to get into the tunnels. She's got a bear on her tail. Oh, there it is running like that. Cool. Let me see it running again. It looks really goofy when it's moving quickly through the trees. They're all running. Here it goes. It looks like one of them inflatable T-Rexes, doesn't it? Bless it. So they get in the tunnels just. Yeah, look. That's the part. The pilot got hit by something. I don't think he got hit by the bear. He got hit by something else, whatever, and he's knocked out. So they're dragging him in, and Wingrace says it kind of looks like little kid Slitheen with a decaying tardigrade face. Yeah. The Slitheens are those from Doctor Who, aren't they? Was they the ones that were farting a lot? That's the Slitheen, isn't it? That were farting a lot in Doctor Who. Anyway. So they're escaping into the tunnels. The old man's just standing there outside and it's ignoring him, it seems. So they're waiting in the tunnels now. And there's lots of split diopters in this scene. So we've seen people in the foreground and background with, all in focus. And I don't like split diopters. They do my head in. Ever since I watched Star Trek: The Motion Picture, split diopters have done my head in because he used a lot of those in that film for no reason, really. But I suppose they're fair enough in this scene. But Yes, lots of farts, says Windgrace. There's the pilot. And they do a lot of looking around. There's lots of eyes in this. There's not a lot of dialogue. I don't think there's any dialogue, actually, because it's supposed to be quiet. There we go, another split diopter. You can see the line there. Look. Oh, see the line there. It's blurry in her background, but obviously he's in the background. And so, I don't like split diopters. If you want to see it, if you want to show somebody, in focus, then just focus on her for a few seconds and then do a, what they call it, a rack zoom or whatever to the people in the background, so that we know that we're looking at them all. Anyway. So they're all waiting for the creature to go. There are lots of eyes, all looking around, all scared. Another split diopter, look. All looking round, and then it goes quiet for a while. So I think it's the sheriff decides he's going to go and check out. He's going to go and have a look, see if the coast is clear. Obviously, it's not going to be, is it? So there we go. So he goes up, and then he gets got. Look, gets got, and then he too far. Then he drops down, and he's all done in. In a minute, there he is. Look there. And apparently, this film, there are a lot of gore scenes in this film. By the way, that's the dead, the one that were dead, the dead mutant thing. It's obviously burning in the teepee and all that. And by the way, a lot of quite, little, not super gory scenes, but they're actually filmed more gore than is actually in it. And it was the director John Frankenheimer that edited out a lot of the more bloody scenes. Because he's quite squeamish and he doesn't like that sort of thing. He's making a horror film. What do you expect? But apparently, he didn't want this film to be known, as a gore fest. But they actually did film them, but he edited them out. Unbelievable. So you'd think, are those scenes still around somewhere? In a film can. Could there be like an uncut version of Prophecy one day? Probably not. Anyway, so there we go. There we cut to the old man watching his camp that he built himself burning. There we go, reflecting in his glasses. Right, so next day, they emerge from the tunnel. The beast has retreated somewhere, so they've got to go and get help now. Going to build like a stretcher for the helicopter pilot, who's he's not dead, but he's in a coma or something. So they've got to get him. They're going to take him to the village, the village that we saw earlier. Yes, release the gore cut. Yes, not Al Gore, the bloody gore cut. They're going to take the pilot to the village that we saw earlier on, and because for shelter and stuff. And Isley's going to go to the top of Mount Emery where there's a microwave communications tower. He's going to get help from there, and he says, "We'll have you all out of there by nightfall." There you go. So he sets off. Oh, by the way, and Robert had said, well, we can't go all trudging through the forest, and the pilot's in a coma. We can't carry him all that way. And he says, "I'll go by myself." He says, "Let me do this." He's making amends. It's his redemption. So he goes off, and so they're carrying the pilot down to the village. Is Isley making his way through the main forests. They're still on their way. That Isley, and suddenly, right? I don't know, he's catching a breath. What's happening then? Suddenly, the bear appears and starts chasing him through the woods. There we go. Oh, there was seen. Another, is that another one? Or is that the one? I think that might be the one that died. I think they were a bit earlier on where we saw it burning. Oh, saw the camp burning. The big bear picked it up and carried it away, I think. But anyway, so he sees that. Then the big bear appears. That's chasing him through the woods, the trees, and he gets to the microwave tower, and he can't get through the fence. So he goes underneath, too far. Tries to get underneath. Um, the bear gets him. And this is another scene that was supposed to be super gory. We just see that and we go, ah! And it cuts away. Apparently, it ripped all his guts out. And they did actually film it, but John Frankenheimer cut it out. So there we go. Or as the fella that did the audio commentary is nothing to do with the film. He just liked the film. I think he said he was a film writer. Can't remember his name. What's he called? Richard. Oh, there's that one. Yes, Richard Harlan Smith did the audio commentary I listened to. He kept calling him John Frankenstein. But anyway, but yeah, he dies there, and his guts were supposed to be all ripped out by the bear, which were cut out. Tisk. Right. So go back to this little village thing, and that's there. Where did they go? I've no idea. I wasn't paying attention. They've taken everything. I don't know where they've gone. Buggered off. That from him. So they're waiting now for relief. Basically, they're waiting for rescue to arrive. Pardon me. But John Hawkes isn't waiting. He's going to go and there we go. He goes down to the whatever this is. Something to do with the paper mill, I presume. I don't know. And he sees this truck. So he goes running back. So he goes running back. There we go. And they're saying, I don't want to spend the night there. He says, we don't have to. There's a truck and it's built like a tank and it'll get us out of here. So he says, there's tools in the cabin. He's going to hotwire it. That's why he came back. So they're going to, so they head out. We don't see that happen. It all went swimmingly. So he went back to the truck, fixed it. Now they're all driving through in a day for night scene, driving through the forest. Right. And in this scene here, as we're showing them driving, it's not day for night now, is it? As it shows them driving through on this bumpy forest road. There's actually a part where Robert Foxworth said he nearly got killed. Because there was a scene where he was supposed to get in the back, or he was supposed to be in the back of the truck and stand up to look around, see what he could see. And something happened, and the truck actually rolled over down a hill, and he jumped out just in time. And he said, if he hadn't have jumped out, it'd have been crushed, under the truck. And the truck rolled down, and there were a film crew at the bottom of the hill as well, and they got out of the way just in time. And some people were hurt, but nobody was seriously hurt. And John Frankenstein said, "Well, that's a wrap for the day." So anyway, so he almost died making this film. Did Robert Foxworth? And I don't know. We actually do see the truck roll over, but I don't know if they're using that footage or if that's a separate thing. I don't know. So they're driving along, and obviously the bear just leaps out of nowhere in a minute and rolls the truck over. They're going to come now. But a Brandon Tenold film, it just appear and go psych. Not Brandon Tenold film, video. A review. It jump out. It's coming in a minute as they're driving about. There we go. Missed it now. Look, here he comes. Look back. There he goes, psych, and he charges at them, and there we go. Rolls the truck over. That's obviously not the same. That's obviously a separate thing. That's not when Robert Foxworth nearly died, because he's not there, is he? He's not leaping to his to salvation. So they all get out, but see him. The pilot is stuck and they can't get him out. The, the, they'd strapped him to the roof. Instead of keeping him all safe and sound inside, they'd strapped him to the roof, so he's still there. And they can't get him out. Here comes the bear. So Armand Desante buggers off, and then the poor pilot Gets his head bit off. Decapitation! So there we go. Oh, their numbers are dwindling. Right, so they're running through the woods for their lives. They're running to the water for some reason. No, there's no giant crocodiles. I hope it's not Lake Placid. Anyway, so they're swimming over. Then we see a grandfather. He stays and he's standing there in the misty water. By the way, this is all a soundstage, by the way. I think this is the same soundstage, actually, where they filmed Star Trek 4. You know, all the watery scenes in Star Trek 4. This is the same place. And that was outside, wasn't it? So it's not actually a soundstage. It's actually outside, isn't it? In the parking lot or something, wasn't it? Of Paramount Studios. Anyway, so he's standing there, and there's his grandfather, but it gets him. It gets him. Hey. Oh, that giant rubber fish doesn't come back. No, it don't, unfortunately. Hey. So they're all swimming across. For some reason, this reminds me of that, you know, Dante's Peak, where they're going across the lake in the acid lake, basically. For some reason, it reminds me of that. I don't know why. Anyway, the bear's following them. They get to the other side, and they're all relaxing on the jetty. And then they look over, and it's coming. It starts walking through, and it goes under the water. And then Robert Foxworth suddenly announces it's drowned. Hey, it's drowned, and he's all happy. Obviously, ants, you know. Probably got gills. Probably. There you go. It's drowned because it's under the water for like 10 seconds. Obviously, then it pops back up again. So they're running to the shack. Is this the shack that they were stopping in? It just happens to be there. Is it? Or is this a different one? I've no idea. I've no idea. So they're running to the shack, board it all up, finds a shotgun with he's got 2 shells left. There's Robert. There he is. So they've got all the windows and doors barricaded. So it goes in through the roof. It smashes the roof off. Hang on, I've missed it. There we go. Smashes the roof off. And he gets a shot off. There we go. Hits it in the neck by the looks. Armand DeSante gets 1 or 2 arrows off. He's all a quiver. There you go. Shoots it again. And hits it, I think. But it's still coming. There we've got Armand DeSante's there with his bow and arrow. And now Armand DeSante meets his end. So it gives him a good whack and knocks him over. There we go. He's dead. That's it. That's all it takes. It's a bear, isn't it? You know, so that's all it would take. So Robert Foxworth picks up Armand DeSante's bow and arrow. Obviously, he's not very good with it, so he fumbles about a bit. And the bear just picks him up. The bear don't whack Robert Foxworth to one side like it has with everybody else. It picks him up and gives him a bear hug. And so he stabs it repeatedly. He goes stabbing it repeatedly with the arrow until the bear just falls into the water. Look, it moonwalks backwards for a minute there. You see it moonwalking then? So is it moonwalk? There we go. Moonwalking backwards. Falls into the lake. And then Robert Foxworth Robert Verne leaps on top of it and, you know, stabs it even more just to finish it off. So that bear's dead. He climbs back out. And the next we see, it's day and there's an aeroplane flying over. And by the way, Ramona, John Hawke's sister, she's fine. She was there at the end. Oh, right, and I forgot as well, as they were going over the lake, as they were swimming, the baby, the one that were alive, the baby bear, started biting Talia Shire's neck like a vampire, biting the neck, and all blood coming out and stuff. So Robert Verne grabbed it off her, and I think he drowned it. I think we just saw him just put it under the water, and we didn't see it again. So not only is she pregnant with a freakish monster baby, she's also been bitten by a mutant bear. So she's She must. Prophecy 2, she's going to have superpowers, isn't she, if they ever do one. Right, so we see the plane fly over, and then we see she's okay. She's she's on. She got a thing on her neck, and Robert Foxworth looking at her. No dialogue. Don't know where John Hawke's sister is. I'm sure she's fine somewhere. There we go. He smiles at her. Everything is lovely. The baby's okay. He should have said that, shouldn't he? He should have said, the baby's fine. And then it flies away. There we go. See the plane flying over. And because it's a horror film, a 1979 horror film, we've got to have one last jump scare, haven't we? One last psych. And here it comes. There's another one, even more mutant. So there we go. And that's the end of the film. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. I like that film. Like I say, it's a bit of a guilty pleasure. It is. I do like Prophecy. I do like it. I say it's a bit stupid. I love that. I've got to see that again. Got to see it moonwalking. Look, does it moonwalks, doesn't it? Oh dear. Wingris says, I'm surprised they didn't do the dream sequence of her being safe in the hospital and then giving birth to a horrible mutant before waking up in fright. Yes, I thought so, wouldn't you? You'd have thought so. A bit like in The Fly, didn't she? They did that in The Fly, didn't they? With Gina Davis's character, Veronica, with her. They did that, didn't they? And this would have been before that, because this is 1979, so we can't say they ripped off The Fly. Justin says, I want a moonwalking mutant bear. Yes, so do I. But I wonder if they did. I wonder if there was a toy line related to this film. Wind up moonwalking mutant bear. Anyway, right. So yes, I like that film. Give it a whirl. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it was supposed to be a serious, eco horror thriller thing. I said they got a big name director in, and not big name actors. I mean, there were known actors like Talia Shire. She's a Coppola, isn't she? A Coppola, however you pronounce it. And Robert Foxworth, more of a TV actor, wasn't he? Although he'd done a few films, but he was more known for his TV work, wasn't he? Star Trek, being a baddie in a few Star Treks. And all that. Right, so, and like I say, it was supposed to be a bigger film. And the writer, David Seltzer, walked off the film. He wrote it. But when he saw the redesign of the monster, he says, right, that's it. I'm walking off. I'm washing my hands of this film. So he walked off. Probably still took the money, but didn't want anything to do with it. Because it probably looked stupid, to be completely honest. Yes, and no Christopher Walken inside. I'm glad to look for those on Paramount Plus. The Prophecy. He's like an angel or demon or, I don't know, isn't he? Something like that. I don't know. Right, anyway. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so he walked off and because, it was supposed to be a mishmash of different creatures. It was supposed to have a wing and an arm and all this stuff, but they changed it to just look like a mutated bear, which I personally think were for the better, because I think it might have looked a bit goofy. It was like this chimera. But anyway. Right, we'll leave it there. So thanks, Josh, and thanks, Wingrace and Archmage Frey. We never see in the same room as Wingrace, really. But anyway, so I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for watching. What am I doing next? What day are we on? Friday. I'll be with my Sunday news stream on Sunday night. Monday, my magnificent Mondays next week is a guilty pleasure film of mine, Stealth. I really like that film. Mostly because you see Jessica Biel in a bikini, which is cool. Oh, pardon me. So doing that on Monday. I might play a bit of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag again. I might lose my temper again. I got really angry at it today and turned it off. Stupid game. Anyway, so yes, Win Grace, thank you. Take care. All have a great weekend. You too. And Josh, yes, have a fun, safe weekend. You as well. And see if we can get rid of this snuffle once and for all. My son's got it as well. He's driving me around the bend. We're both fine. We've just got this snuffle that we can't get rid of. But we're both, okay, not ill, just bunged up nose, and it's annoying. Right. As I said, it's probably long COVID. Right, so leave it there. So thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other, don't have nightmares, and until next time, I'll see thee.